was, well, who was it that liked him? Was it the internet woman, or was it the girl I worked with? I think it might have been the girl I worked with. My previous job before this one, I worked at the Carl's Jr. down there for 9 years, and there was a
personnel.
Yeah, and there was a girl there I worked with for several years, and we were pretty good friends. We're still in contact online rarely. You know, I talked to her a few days ago, and that was the first time I talked to her in about a month. And I think it was her that, I had a crush on her for like 2 or 3 years, and I think it was her that liked him. But
what did you do at Carl's Jr. for 9 years?
Cashier. They offered me management a long time ago, but I just didn't want it. Didn't want the responsibility for basically no extra money. And, so I was mainly a cashier, usually in the drive-thru.
Why did you leave Carl's Jr.?
Because it was low pay, and I'd been there for 9 years and was sick of it. And I got, my dad found me this better job. So
better pay?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, going back to the plan, you had the handcuffs and the duct tape.
Yeah, so what I was going to do is I was going to, like I said, yank them in there, restrain them, and if it was a kid, I was going to just make them sit there and watch some porn first, and then I was going to have sex with them. And then...
Were you going to try to turn them on with the porn and make it voluntary?
I was, kind of hoping that would happen, but I, figured it probably wouldn't.
So you assumed that you would have to do it by force?
Yeah, most likely.
Okay.
And then, after the sex, it would turn kind of violent. I'd start kind of torturing them a little and stuff like that.
How would you torture them? In your fantasies, what would you do?
Sticking large objects in their anus, causing them pain that way. I had some long barbecue skewers I bought. I was going to poke through their cheeks. I've got in that bag of porn, there's also a Barbie doll head I found on the ground a while back that I stuck some needles in. Kind of illustrates what was in my fantasy. It had like some needles in its cheeks and some nails in its eyes, but I wasn't intending on doing that because the torture was kind of a late addition, because at first I wanted the body to be pretty much unharmed. Because what I was going to do after that then was I was going to, while they were still alive and gagged, I was going to drape them over the bathtub and cut off their head. And then hang them there and let the blood all drain out, good and drained out. And I was going to keep the body around for a couple of days. I was going to set the head on my desk so it could watch me. And, keep the corpse in my bed, sleeping with it, having sex with it for a day or two, and then I was going to start butchering them and cooking them. So,
okay. Did you buy any pots or any special things for that?
Just the barbecue skewers and some meat tenderizer powder, and hacksaw to cut open the head to get to the brain, because I wanted to eat the brain and the heart and some of the organs.
It's been my experience that a lot of people who like or think about those kind of things maybe experiment with animals. Have you ever experimented with animals?
No, I told the guy earlier, in fact, this, like I've said, this is just entirely against my nature. And if, I told him I'm not really religious, but what beliefs I do have would be pretty much best described as Buddhist. And I didn't even like stepping on bugs. I didn't believe in violence or anything until this happened.
Okay.
So.
Now, after you chopped the head off and maybe cooked them, and could you continue on from there?
Then it went into disposing of the body. I was probably going to keep the skull, but then I was going to pretty much eat everything except for some of the organs, and those I figured I could put in a trash bag and probably throw away without too much chance of getting caught. So basically all that'd be left was bones, and I was going to try to break the bones up into little pieces so they wouldn't be as visible, and dump them in a ditch somewhere.
Okay.
Or if then Well, that was my original plan. That's what I wanted to do, but, you know.
Now, did you ever write any of this down on your computer?
No.
Because you know they're going to go through your computer really good.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I already deleted, like, as soon as, I never had anything wrote down, but I already deleted a lot of the porn and stuff off my computer.
After this happened?
Yeah, as soon as, like, the cops, you know, started sniffing around, like,
asking.
Because all the porn's there, but I had a lot of, in the last couple of months, I'd been to a bunch, you know, there's a lot of websites out there where you can download, like, crime scene photos, like real dead bodies and stuff like that. And I had a fairly large collection of those. I deleted, like, all of those.
Okay.
And I never had any child pornography, but, and it might still be on there, because I think I put it in a different directory than the rest of the porn. I had just a couple, like 4 or 5 pictures I downloaded from, like, a children's swimwear catalog of, like, 10-year-old girls in swimsuits. But that's close as I ever had to, like, any child pornography or anything.
I'm sorry. Do you have anything on your computer, that you're sure that you destroyed that stuff, or did you just go delete off the reset? Could still be a burn on your hard drive.
Yeah, they say none of that's permanent unless they claim there's programs now that can make it permanent. But no, all I did was dragged it to the trash bin and hit empty trash bin, so it can most likely be recovered probably.
Okay, you didn't go. I forgot what it's called. It starts with an N, but there's a certain program that if you use that, you can really wipe stuff out.
Yeah,
but you didn't go through that trouble.
There's programs like that all over. I see advertised, but no, I don't have any of those.
Okay, they're going. If they heard about this, they're really going to pull this stuff up. When did you think you first started downloading this kind of stuff? Because they're going to know for a fact.
Yeah, well, the cannibalism thing started probably a year or so ago. Might have been while I was on the medication the first time, but I'm not sure. I don't think so, but it might have been.
Now, Kevin, for the record, you're currently taking your medication, is that correct?
Yeah.
Did you take it today?
Yeah.
And you say it works for you?
It doesn't really help with the anxiety. I'm still shy, and I still can't really talk to people. But I don't have like the panic attacks, and I don't get depressed about not having a social life.
Well, are you aware of your actions and fully in understanding of what you're doing?
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay. Now, so cannibalism.
I think it might have maybe lowered my inhibitions a little or something like that.
Maybe you might have.
He recognizes what you're doing as being against the law.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, is there any questions that you have about that?
No, I know what I did was wrong, and I know that I deserve to be punished for it.
So the deal with cannibalism may have been a long time ago, but
yeah, I mean it wasn't something I was. I mean, I was kind of interested in, kind of curious as to what it would taste like, and it kind of aroused me, and I kind of masturbated to some of the pictures because there's this website I found, I don't even remember what it is now, where you can download lots of fake computer graphic images of women on spits and stuff like that, and cooking over a fire or whatever.
And you found it sexually arousing?
Yeah, very. But it was the thought of killing someone, though, at the same time. It was, in my mind, it was like, well, I'd only do it, if the woman, wanted to die and wanted me to eat her. I wouldn't, go out and kill someone. Murder's wrong. I wouldn't ever murder someone.
Okay.
That's the way I thought at the time.
Okay.
But I've been surfing internet porns for probably 12, 13 years, and there's a lot of weird stuff on the internet, and so as the years went by, I just kind of got kind of desensitized to normal porn and just had to keep going after harder and harder core stuff until it finally got to kind of this cannibalism point. And then here recently after that, I started to kind of seriously think about it and develop an interest in these pictures of real death and cannibalism and
have you ever read
gore and gruesome things. And
have you ever read psychology books or internet sites, and just out of curiosity, reading about people with like interests, or to say, hey, somebody like me who, likewise people who would get sexual gratifications out of possible cannibalism or viewing women on spits or things like that?
That site, yeah, that I downloaded like all the fake pictures from, it was a message board mostly, and it was mostly text, but people would, it's like, here's this picture I made with my computer. And it was, so it was all like people with the same interests, and, pretty much, probably 95% of them, from what they said on there anyway, were of the same mindset as me. I would never do this, but it's fun to fantasize about.
It's a fun fantasy.
It's it's an interesting fantasy that gets me off, but I would never kill anyone, and given the chance, I would probably not ever actually eat someone. Was most of their opinions.
So you would masturbate if you to this fantasy of a cannibalization, like seeing a woman on a spit or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. When did it first enter your mind that yes, I'm going to do this today?
Well, not today, but on
I'm sorry.
the day.
When
You mean that
day?
day? Well,
Wednesday. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
And what day was that for the record?
Wednesday.
You know what day of the April, or what are we, April?
Yeah, this is the 14th, so that'd been what, the 11th? Yeah, that was
Friday the 14th, Thursday the
Thursday the 13th, Wednesday the 12th. Yeah, I'm bad with dates.
yeah.
Well, I didn't understand. Wednesday the 12th?
Yeah.
Do you know for sure it was a Wednesday?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
definitely Wednesday because I'm off on Wednesday and I was off work that day.
Okay. Go ahead. I just didn't
Did you plan it
understand.
for your day off?
It was, well, I'd been planning it, like I said, I'd been planning it for months, buying supplies and, trying to get the exact plan down of what I do and how I dispose of it afterwards.
And the exact victim.
And, well, like I said, I kind of wanted her, but it didn't really matter. I mean, that's to tell the truth, that's the main reason I was hanging out in front of my apartment, is to watch all the kids and watch all the people come and go. And it was, I had pretty much planned all along to probably get a kid, just mainly because they'd be easier to grab and easier to get rid of afterwards, smaller, and, put up less of a fight. But there was a few, girls of my age, I'd be like, well, she's really attractive. I wouldn't mind, killing and eating her and having sex with her and all that. But,
Did you find her attractive?
not really, no. She was kind of homely. But there was a part of me that, kind of found her attractive, but at the same time, not really.
What did you mean by homely?
Well, I don't know, she just had, she was almost bald. She had, really thin hair, really thinning hair. And
What color was it again?
light red. It was almost a blondish red. And, she was a little chubby and, just kind of wasn't my type, basically.
And you said again, you thought, how old was she?
I would have sworn she was at least 12, maybe 13.
So you were pretty confident you knew she was a kid. I mean, there wasn't any question.
Yeah. I mean, some of the kids that when I was first thinking about it, I was like looking at it, like 5-year-old boys running around out there playing all day. So I mean, the age and the gender didn't really matter to me.
Now, when did you come up with Wednesday would be the day?
Basically, the instant it happened. I mean, like I said, there was plenty of times before that I could have grabbed her if I wanted, or grabbed some other kid, but especially her, because like I say, she got to where she talked to me, and she'd actually been in my apartment a couple of times before that. She'd come down, because one time I was standing out there with my pet rat, holding it and had it on my shoulder, and she thought it was cute and she wanted to pet it. And then later that evening, I was still had my front door open, but I was sitting on the couch watching TV, and she just kind of wandered into my apartment and said, "Can I pet your rat?" So she seemed like a very trusting
Do you
kid.
remember how long ago that was? To put it in perspective for me. A week?
Maybe two, probably about a week. But yeah, she was a very trusting kid. If it hadn't been me, it could have ended up being someone else, because like I said, she just wandered into my apartment. I didn't force her in there or even ask her in. And so she came in for a few minutes and looked at my rat and fed it a food pellet. And then Tuesday night, the night before this happened, she came down. I guess they didn't have a phone upstairs, because I'd see her occasionally go to, there's a payphone on the other side of the compound. She'd go down there and use that. And she was going down there to, her father sent her down there to call Mazio's and order some pizza for her. But I was standing there in my doorway, and she's just like, "Can I use your phone?" And so I let her use my phone. She stayed outside, though. She's like, "I don't want to get in trouble for coming into your apartment." So she did step in.
You have a cordless phone?
Yeah,
Okay.
she stepped in for a minute, but then once I gave her to the phone, she was like, "I better get outside." And so, you know, I had plenty of chances to get her. But, you know, like I said, every time I'd be thinking, you know, oh, I'm going to do this. I want to get her, definitely her. But then I'd see her and, you know, be, oh, I'm going to get her this time. And then be like, then I'd see her, though, and like, no, I can't hurt her, you know, all that. And, I mean, that happened to pretty much every kid, but I'd, you know, kind of wimp out at the last minute, but especially her, because I kind of liked her. But then, yeah, this Wednesday she came in. Now, she came home from school.
Let me ask you this real quick. Going back to Tuesday night, and she came into your house and used the phone.
Yeah.
During the overnight hours when you were home and into the next day, did you engage in any fantasy on the internet? I mean, did that kind of turn you on, the thought of, yeah, I could have almost done it? And did you fantasize about it over that night, or did you go to websites the night and then in the morning till the next day?
No, I hadn't been to any of the websites really recently because I just downloaded a bunch of the pictures of my hard drive and I looked at it. So I hadn't really been to any of the websites, and most of them had probably been a week or more. So.
Were you looking at them on your hard drive?
Yeah, I had them all stored on my computer.
On Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, were you looking at them on your hard drive?
Probably not, because another thing that kept it from happening so long is, you know, I'd be standing there in the doorway fantasizing about it, you know, preparing to grab a kid, and I'd get so turned on I'd end up masturbating, and, you know, like as soon as I had an orgasm,
It took away the bird.
Yeah, I'd just be hit with disgust. I mean, like, my God, what am I thinking about? You know, you can't do that. That's horrible. And so that's usually what would happen.
Let me ask you, when you masturbate, how would you clean it up? What would you do? Would you masturbate in a towel, or would you masturbate into a jug? Or?
No, usually Kleenex or onto the floor, and then I'd clean it up with a wet rag.
Did you just flush it down the toilet, or?
Well, I usually use a wet rag, and then I just, you know, rinse the rag out, and then you know, wash it when I did my laundry.
Okay. So, did you masturbate about it Tuesday night?
Probably.
After she left?
I'm sure I probably did.
And then, how late?
Well, no, Tuesday night, because I think when she came down to use my phone, I had already, I think, masturbated probably for the day, and I wasn't even really, you know, planning it anymore at the time. I was just kind of standing there for real, just kind of hanging out, getting some air, and you know, she's like, "Can I use your phone?"
What'd you do Tuesday night before you went to sleep?
I don't remember. Probably was playing my game I usually play online.
How late did you stay up, do you think, playing?
I'm usually in bed by 8 or 8:30.
Because you get up so early.
Yeah, because I get up at 3. That's when I'm.
What is the game?
You like play it right there on the computer. You don't download anything. You just go to the website, and it's, you know, fully contained in the website. It's called Kingdom of Loathing.
Yeah. Okay.
It was I mean, it had nothing to do with this. I hate for it to even. It's probably going to end up getting bad publicity from this. But it was just a silly little harmless game. You know.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was what I spent the majority of the time doing. I mean, if I wasn't at work, until I started hanging out, you know, doing all this, if I wasn't at work, I was probably on there playing that game.
Okay.
It
was a hobby.
Yeah, it was my main hobby.
Okay. Now, how much sleep did you get Tuesday night, Wednesday, till Wednesday morning? If you went to bed at 8 on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, I was off Wednesday, so I started saying I might have stayed up later, but no, I'm pretty sure I went to bed about 8 Tuesday night, and since I was off, I slept until I think 7 o'clock Wednesday morning.
And go from there. What happened there?
Well, from 7 to about 11 o'clock, I played that game, and then, you know, I took my shower and brushed my teeth and shaved and everything, get ready to over to my parents' house to drop some laundry off.
What time was that?
About 11:45, noon, something like that. Because my mom still does all my laundry. Because I was going to do it up there. They've got a laundromat, but she's like, "Oh, you just live 2 blocks away. I'll do it for you." So I took my laundry there and dropped it off for her to do it while I went shopping. And so from about noon to probably 2:30, something like that, I was driving. Actually, I didn't leave town like I told you earlier. I don't know why I even said that. I just went here in town to United and Super Thrift. Just did my normal grocery shopping is all it was.
And United is a...
Supermarket up there next to the Walmart on Green.
Did you buy anything?
Yeah. Actually, I can't even barely remember what I did that day. No, I didn't even go to United. I went to a Super Thrift and Dollar Store, the new dollar store they just built. Yeah, and I got a few things at each place. You know, just like I said, just normal food, grocery stuff, some cereal, some milk, some bread. And then, you know, I went back after that. I went back to my parents' place about what time was that? I'm so tired right now. I'm having trouble remembering what I did. Getting the time straight anyway. Actually, yeah, it was about 3 o'clock when I went over to my parents' place. It was I got back home from shopping about 2 o'clock. Then got online and talked to that girl in California, Melissa, for about 45 minutes or so until about 2:45, 2:50. I went back to my parents' place to pick up my laundry, and also they had said come back when my sister got out from school. She wanted me to help her with something on her homework or something like that. And so I went over there. I was there from about 10 till 3 to about 3:30. And when I got back home about 3:30, I noticed that the girl's bike was gone. That she'd gone somewhere on her bike, which kind of struck me as odd because most days it'd be closer to 3:45, 4 o'clock before she'd even show up coming home from school. She walked from school. She walked home from school. I don't know why she didn't ride her bike, but so I knew that meant she had come home. And because of what I really wanted to do, I had kind of planned it for that day, but I mean I'd been planning it for like every day for like a month pretty much. I'd planned to get her as she walked in from school before she had a chance to even go upstairs, and so it would look like she never came home from school. Is what I wanted. But I was surprised and kind of annoyed to learn that she'd already been upstairs and come home and been upstairs and gone again. So I hung around waiting for her, and about 10-15 minutes after that, probably about 3:45 or so, something like that, she came back home, just she didn't chain her bike up, she just propped it up against the stairwell there, and went upstairs and came back down about 4 o'clock in a new outfit.
She had changed clothes.
Yeah. On the first time she came home, before she went and changed clothes, she stopped, she saw me stand there, and she was just like, oh, this is horrible. I came home from school and realized I'd forgot my house keys at home and had to go back and get them, and it's so hot today, and I have to go up a big hill. And she was just complaining about how hot she was, and she couldn't believe how hot it was around here. She said she didn't think it ever got that hot in Dibble, where she used to live. And then she went upstairs and came back down in a new outfit with a mug of ice milk, which the mug's also in the bag with the bicycle parts. Okay. And she came down again, started talking about
her bike was still unlocked right there.
Yeah, it was still sitting there unlocked, which was good because that had been my plan all along, was to take the bike too. So it looked, if I couldn't get her on her way home from school to take the bike, so it would look like she, was out on her bike and got kidnapped or run off or something like that. Anyway, she came downstairs and was still, she's like, oh, there's nothing when it's this hot, nothing good like a good, glass of ice milk. And she, kind of chatted for a minute and then asked to come inside and see my rat again. And she just sat there on the floor looking at my rat. And about the only TV I ever watch is cartoons, Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. And SpongeBob was on. And so she was kind of sitting there watching that. And we were talking about the show a little. And she was in my apartment probably a good 15 minutes. And after she'd been in there a few minutes, when she first came in, I was like, oh, now's my chance. But, then I had the same, no, I can't do it. And I just kind of struggled with myself the whole time she was in there. And
it was a struggle between right and wrong?
Yeah, or kind of, yeah, both that and, not wanting to get caught. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was partly because, I can't do this, I don't want to do it, but then, yeah, I want to do this.
And there's a little bit of fear like, hey, if I do this, I might get caught.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was a large part of it too, but anyway, and then I even had, I had all the stuff, I'd had all the stuff sitting there handy, on that, entertainment center right by my door. I'd had, like for the last month, I'd had a piece of duct tape stuck there, so, I could just grab them and slap the tape over their mouth, and also the handcuffs sitting there on the shelf, so, I could yank them in and restrain them, hopefully, before they had the time to yell or anything. And, and also, it had been just 2 or 3 nights before that I'd, suddenly thought of the, it was mainly something I had reserved for if I did grab an adult, something to subdue him. I tried to find something heavy I could hopefully hit him on the head and knock him out with. And the best thing I had was a slightly heavy wooden cutting board in the kitchen. So I had that sitting on the entertainment center at that time too. And after she'd been in there a few minutes, I kind of...
So it would be ready so you'd have it exit right there at you?
Yeah, just kind of like yank him in and whack him over the head.
Okay.
But I hadn't planned on doing that if it was a kid, because if it was a kid, like I said, I wanted to keep him conscious and make him watch porn. So I even also kind of, also was, as they were watching the porn, depending on how old they were, like telling them what was going on. Like, well, this is sex. The guy does this and the woman does this, and, this is called an orgasm. Kind of like teaching them. But, and hopefully they'd want to try it for themselves. Something like that. But anyway, then, so I kind of, once she got in there, I kind of was like, it was more the kind of regrets and fears, and I was like, I better just knock her out, and, then restrain her while she's unconscious, get her clothes off and everything while she's unconscious, and I'm not even going to bother with the porn, I'm just going to, knock her out and rape her. So after she'd been there a few minutes, I kind of, made my way around behind her and was just kind of standing behind her, watching, talking to her as we were watching the show, and kind of, fighting with myself. I'd grabbed the, reached up there once and grabbed the cutting board, and, then I put it down on the couch. I couldn't do it. And so for like 5 minutes, I just stood there, going back and forth, picking it up, putting it back down, and saying, and finally I was just, look, either do it or tell her to get the hell out of the apartment, and finally I did it. And, as soon as I hit her.
What did she say when you hit her?
That's something that's, haunted me ever since it happened. She started yelling, "I'm sorry," which, I'm just like, what is she sorry for? She didn't do anything wrong. It's me, I'm the one that should be sorry. She was just, well, I, whacked her over the head. It made a loud noise. If there was anyone home, apparently no one had been home in the apartment next to me or above me, or I would have been caught for sure, because it did knock her out. She started screaming.
Kevin, how did you hold the board? I'm not clear to me how you hit her with it.
It had, it was like a square with, like a little hole cut out like a handle. And I just held it by the handle and like whacked.
With one hand like a...
Yeah, just like whacked her upside the side of the head.
Where did you hit her on the head? Can you put...